Overnight, we saw the NASDAQ rocketing up and then coming down off the highs as much as 174 points. Nikkei last night was up 1,207 points. And then Home Depot comes out with earnings and in pre-market is down at 1.68%. The Fear and Greed Index is sitting at 22, meaning it dropped from yesterday. Is the market getting very close to a reversal zone, or are we headed to the moon? So let's start off this morning. We're going to take a look at Home Depot, and we can see on the daily chart, we basically had a double top-ish pattern. And if we go ahead and we draw this out and see where should this pattern complete, that would give us a price completion all the way down here around $322.55. Now, we've seen a lot of stocks recently near topping patterns. However, we want to pay very close attention to the VIX out here today. Yesterday, we saw the VIX firming up, and last night during London, when the VIX opened up, it gapped lower, came all the way back up, potentially filling the gap. Now is it getting ready to roll over once again? Because this morning, we do have more economic news coming out at 8:30, where we have the core PPI coming out. Then at 1:15, Bostic is going to be speaking out here this morning. Now, when we take a look at what Home Depot had to say, they trimmed guidance with anxiety about the broader economy among contractors and homeowners. Now, we keep hearing about this. Everybody is worried about the slowdown. So if everybody's worried about it, is it about to come true? Last week, we saw the Nikkei have a 12% drop on the way down, and now Japanese stocks erase losses from August 5th. Now, if you come over and look at the Nikkei on the daily chart, this was the 12% drop, and I think it was down nearly 14% at the low on that night. Now we've been able to take back all those losses. We filled the gap. Now are we going to work our way up towards the next gap as well? Now, we're not out of the woods yet. I warned you guys about this article yesterday. Iran could attack Israel in less than 24 hours, sources say. And we were talking about this last night on the live stream. And if you are worried about this, like so many people are, like Market Watch says, feared Iranian attack on Israel, top threat to stocks in a busy week. Now, I do think if Iran goes on the offensive, I do think, whatever happens in the stock market will probably be short-lived. But let's talk about when that will likely occur. It'll probably happen during the Asia session, probably somewhere anywhere between 7 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll call it 9:30, 10 o'clock Eastern time. That's the time period that makes the most sense. However, any type of fear mongering that you hear coming out, news headlines or whatnot, could still rattle the markets intraday. So we do want to, keep on top of this potential headline as well. We come over and look at the dollar index, basically flat on the session. Then we jump over and take a look at gold. Gold, basically, given a little bit of a pause right here near the recent swing high, which could be the jump off point for another move higher. Go ahead and complete the ABC pattern all the way up here to 2,586. All right, but we must clear the swing point up here in order for that ABC pattern to be validated. I see the S&P and other markets rallying at the moment, which we'll take a look at here in just a bit. We come over and look at crude oil. Crude oil today, basically so far, has a doji candle, but we have a whole lot of trading still to be done today. Yesterday, a very bullish candle, and now we're going to see, is this going to continue on the way up? If the conflict over in the Middle East continues to flare up, that is also going to bolster crude oil prices moving forward. Now, crude oil prices going higher is not good for the fight on inflation, but we already know Jay Powell has given up on the fight on inflation, right? Jay Powell is going to be cutting rates no matter what. He's already basically signaled that to us. Now, when we look at the diamonds out here in pre-market, you can see the diamonds are down 24 cents on the session. However, that's kind of funny because I can see the futures markets. If I pop the watch list over, all the indices are currently in the green. We even got the Russell in the green at this moment. Now, speaking of the Russell, if we come over and look at the IWM real quick, the Russell 2000, you can see we're starting to have a little bit of a pullback, and that would be normal up and around this area. Now, the question is, if indeed the pullback starts today and we start to come down, are we going to form a higher low, or are we going to form an equal or lower low? The jury is still out. Keep in mind, the Russell 2000 has not filled either of the two gaps from last week. Today could be the day. Then we jump over and take a look at the QQQs. What do we see? You can see we came right up near the 38% retracement of the entire move on the way down. And now the question is that all she has, or are we going to start coming back down? We can see right now in pre-market, the QQQs are up $2.48. So that suggests we could have a gap. However, the news at 8:30 could change things drastically. And let's not forget, we are still in earnings season. Home Depot already reported we have a lot of companies out. Now, I'm really going to be focused on Thursday. All right, Thursday, we have Deere coming out. We have Walmart. We have Alibaba. So Thursday is the real day that I'm going to be watching this week. However, on Wednesday, we do have Cisco, so maybe that will move the markets here just a bit. Then we come over and we look at the 4-hour chart with the QQQs. Notice we're right near this other gap right over here. We'll see if we got enough juice to push up and out. MACD indicator does look firm at this moment. Then on the 1-hour chart, here's where it starts to get a little bit dicey. We see the MACD indicator trying to pinch and roll together. We're not there just yet, and we're almost above the recent highs that we formed over the last couple days or so. Keep in mind, we're right here at gap resistance from earlier last week. Then on the 30-minute chart, you can see we're almost back up at the highs of yesterday, which brings us above value area high, which comes in at 452.48. The point of control will come in at 450.92. Value area low will come in at 449.82. Now, if we start trading back below value area high, then I want to target the point of control. I want to target value area low, and then I even want to target some of the other areas to the downside. One such would be this whole distribution area down here, which really starts somewhere in the ballpark of about 439.07. MACD indicator at this moment is bearish. However, we also want to confirm that with price. And right now, price is still hovering near the recent highs that we've seen over the past couple days. I want to make everybody aware, Apex 7A massive 80% sale off all their valuation accounts, pass in as little as 1 day, and you can also get a 150K account for only $40. You get a 250K account for only $40, and you get a 300K account for only $40. So if you want to take advantage of this offer, use the link in the description box down below and use the promo code Mike at checkout. As we come over and look at the futures markets, it gets very enticing because out here on the 4-hour chart, notice what we're able to do. And I warned you guys about this, last week and all of this week so far, but here was value area low from 2 weeks ago, 18,803. We closed below that level. And once we closed below it, I kept telling you guys within the next 1 to 2 weeks, highly probable we come back and test that level. That's exactly what we done last night. That level was 18,803.75. And last night, the high was 18,817.25. Now we are on the move back up right here this morning, and we're going to see, does this move continue up? Can we make it all the way up here towards the untested point of control at 18,939? Keep in mind, right now it appears we may have a gap up higher this morning. Now, when we look at the futures markets, notice we were unable to come down and take out the point of control from yesterday at 18,628. That level could still be in play for today. We'll see how the news shakes out. Now, when we look at this, we can see that right now we are currently trading above value area high from yesterday at 18,695. So as long as we're above that price point from a daily perspective, we have to respect the buyers. And if we want to, if we want to be in the market, the path to least resistance would be higher. Now, depending on where the overnight volume profile levels come into play, that could mix things up here just a bit. Now, as we come over and look at the SPY and pre-market, the SPY is up $2.07. We saw yesterday was basically a candle of indecision, a spinning top candle, wick on the top, wick on the bottom, and kind of a small body out here. And notice we're coming right into this minus development area. First time we come up to it, we expect some type of reaction. We'll see if we get a move on the way back down and how far low that will actually go. Will it produce a higher low, or are we going to come all the way back down, forming a double bottom pattern? Now, you can also see that we have not filled the second gap from last week. So that is still in our line of sight. And right now, the markets are still ripping and roaring to the upside. On the 4-hour chart, MACD indicator, good separation of the lines, 45-degree angle up. The only thing that has me concerned is this minus development area. This could be an area where you start to see a rejection on the way back down. On the 1-hour chart, you can see we're almost above the highs from yesterday. We're right near that area. Then as we dive down to the 30-minute chart, notice we're well above yesterday's value area high, which comes in at 533.96. The point of control comes in at 532.70, and value area low will come in at 531.77. Now, notice the MACD indicator is crossed to the downside. However, as long as price is near the highs, I'm not going to be as concerned with this, but what I will be looking for is we start breaking above this high and we set up some type of MACD divergence. Then we start violating the volume profile levels. Then we can, start to formulate a plan to start catching the retracement on the way back lower. Now, as we come over and look at the futures markets real quick, notice we have not come back and tested that untested value area low yet. And one of the areas I talked about last night was a minus development area over here, along with this high volume area. However, I am watching this minus development area over here. Now, I would prefer the market to pull back here just a bit, but again, the market does not care what I'd like to see. If we go ahead and we measure A to B equals C to D, we can see we get a price completion at about 54.21. If you look right now, we're at 53.92. So another 30 points. really is not that far-fetched, especially knowing that we have the PPI data coming out here at 8:30. Then we come over here and we look at the 30-minute profiles. Notice right now we're trading above value area high at 5380.25. So as long as we're above that price point, what does that say? We're likely going to go ahead and go higher. Now, if we start getting back below it, then I want to play the rotation lower. And one of the areas I will be watching is going to be this area right down here, anywhere from these candle bodies to the candle wicks, which come in about 53.30 down here to about 53.19. Now, unless we get horrible news with the PPI, or we start hearing more fear mongering about Iran and Israel and the Middle East, I don't really see this being the case for today. All right. I just don't think that will be likely outcome for the market, but we'll have to wait and see how the day plays out. Now, depending on where the overnight volume profile levels are, if you're looking to get short, we may be able to use the overnight levels for early entries into the market. For instance, if the levels were matured right now and we started coming back down below value area high, then we could target yesterday's value area high, yesterday's point of control, which also aligns so far with the overnight value area high, then yesterday's value area low, and then we can start to target that zone that we just talked about. Now, if we start getting below this zone, then I really want to focus on this minus development area down here. Now, I'm not so worried about this for a target today. This will be more of a multi-day type of target that we've been talking about over the past couple days. 52, 55, down here towards about 52.38. Keep in mind, that would be a future target, multiple day target, unless something goes crazy with Israel and Iran. Now, when we look at the economic news that just came out, core PPI came in better than expected, 0.0% versus a forecast of 0.2, previously 0.3 PPI month over month came in at 0.1 with a forecast of 0.2. So what do we think has happened to the market since then? If you said rocket ship on the way up, you would be absolutely correct. We can see right here in the futures markets, NASDAQ went screaming to the upside. And now the question is that all she wrote? Are we getting ready to have a downturn back down towards this point of control? Will the good news actually produce a negative effect on the markets today? We come over and we look at the overnight volume profile levels. We have value area high coming in at 18,766. We have the point of control coming at 18,745 and value area low coming in at 18,845.50. Note, if we start coming back below the overnight value area high, I want to target the point of control. I want to target yesterday's value area high. I want to target the overnight value area low. Then I want to target down towards this point of control. And let's not forget, if things get crazy, escalations over in the Middle East, this zone that we identified earlier would be a target I would be focused on as well. Coming over, look at the S&P 500. We can see value area high coming in at 5392.50. Point of control down here at 5372.00. Value area low comes in at 5369.00. Now, I don't want to be on the sell side of the market unless we start breaking below the overnight value area high. If so, I don't want to use the point of control as target number one. Instead, I want to use some of these distribution areas on the profile. One such would be right here at about 53.88. The next one would be down here about 53.79. Be on high alert right around this area right here, because anywhere in this area about 53.83, we can see the market dive down there and then simply just come down and say, you know what? Reject right back up. So just be mindful as we come into this minus development area on the profile, if indeed we start breaking value area high. Now, if we stay above value area high, then obviously the retest of the high from when the news came out would be the likely outcome. And if we actually zoom this back out, and if we actually come back over here to a 4-hour chart, keep in mind, we're only about 10 points away from hitting that ABC completion once that news came out. So we'll see if when the bell rings here at the open, if the market juices all the way up, taking out that ABC pattern to the upside. Now, if you guys would like to learn 2 ways to identify absorption in the market using order flow, watch this video right here.